Hey folks, and I'm back. 2, 3, 4, 5.
I won't end up another drunk arsehole littering the streets. Not me.
Are you alright?
The bastard hit the wall next to me. I don't even know if he meant to miss.
If you've been hurt, I can help you. I'm a doctor.
Name's Albert. Remember it. Now bugger off.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? If you know anything about her, I'd appreciate it.
Never heard of her. She's pretty, I'll keep an eye out.
What happened? Did you really steal that man's medication?
Hey, I didn't do anything, it ain't me.
All right. Perhaps the poor drunk just confused you with someone else.
Shut off, mister. You ain't got no clue what's going on here. Bastard was a soldier in the war, so now he's got the right to shoot me.
It's true. I'm not familiar with this part of town. Perhaps you could help me.
I said sod off. Go find yourself another guide.
Goodbye, young.
Me? I'll not die in some piss-stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
What?
We
Shooting
called
a boy
what?
in the middle of the street. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What?
Should use a surgical
You
saw.
saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
Maybe the pills were a quest item.
Perhaps you could focus for a moment and tell me your troubles.
I'm sick, broke, and my son just stole my pills. Everything's coming up roses.
What can you tell me about this place?
Nothing to say, really. This is where I used to live, and this is where I live now.
You mean you used to have a better life?
Yeah, I had a wife, a home, and a job. I even used to have a name. Now I'm just Ben. Ben the Tramp.
You don't have anywhere to go? No family that would welcome you?
Not since the death of my wife, Albert's mother. She was sick, you see. Long before the flu and all this shit.
Whatever the boy did, I'm sure he didn't deserve a public execution.
I swear I didn't want to hit him. It's just that I'm sick in the head, you see, and the boy just frayed me last nerve.
Uh-huh.
What is it, Benjamin? It was the war, wasn't it? Your nerves are shot, aren't they? I need some answers, Private. From one soldier to another.
The doctors called me a liar. A coward. Put me in a straitjacket, locked me up. Finally, they sent me back to the front lines with a handful of tablets.
Liar and a coward for what?
It's a pity that doctors still practice such barbaric methods. It's a dishonor to our profession.
Now only the pills stop me thinking about this shit. To not hear the explosions. I'm even scared of the dark these days.
Christ. PTSD used to be called shell shock. Shell shock in those days. The mortars, I guess.
Do you
Didn't
know
unlock
Nurse
that.
Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Have you heard anything?
It's funny, I've been searching for her too. I need some pills. But the woman is a phantom, if you ask me.
Really? And why is that?
Word is she ain't real. She's a cover for some doctor who runs an illegal dispensary for migrants.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now.
A little provocative there.
I won't end up another drunk arsehole littering the streets. Not me.
Ignore me. That grease and screw will prove useful. adventure game protagonist. Oh, he's got fatigue. Here.
How are you, boy?
I'm not your boy, all right? Now piss off.
Here,
Do
have
you
some
need
medicine.
assistance?
Please. Feeling tired these days.
There you go. Let's hope nobody steals it from you.
Very funny.
Goodbye, young man.
Here, have some medicine.
Some piss stinking alley reeking worse than a week old lavvy.
Someday you'll understand. You've wasted your life away.
He's got a migraine. I don't have a cure on hand though.
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir. Are you interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
Then you have come to the right place. The famous Swanborough cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
Wow. Oh, the snake all gets intimidated. I remember when I was younger, I can't remember what led into it, but Mum ended up meeting a guy at a hotel. Nothing seedy. He was, I don't know, I think he was part of some MLM thing, or basically he sold something, you know, some... I think it was some medication, or was it a cream? It wasn't like prescription stuff. No, it was like homeopathic stuff, I think. And he was claiming a study was done, and it proved it did this. And he was also making other claims, asserting that, oh, it could do this as well. And it's like, okay, do you have any proof for it? And he's like, no, I don't. According to Mum, she told me afterwards, to her, I didn't see it myself, I was too focused on the words of it. The guy looked like he was going to start crying. Because was like constantly poking him, like, do you got on there? You know, proof-wise. I think he was hoping for an easy sale. And it kinda, didn't happen. But yeah, I can't remember what it was, but it was just like, okay, it proves, like, it helps with, like, skin condition. Like, your skin will be silky smooth, therefore it'll help with, bone aching or something. It was like the biggest jump, biggest load of taff. I'll ask her tomorrow and find out what it was.
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
Huh.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly exploits poor migrants as soon as they get here.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Which is exactly why you've stalled right here.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like to talk about competition.
Competition, you say?
Never met her, but it seems she provides some sort of medical care to the poor. The whole thing has to be some sort of scam, if you ask me.
Little rich.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
This one's cordial with the list of ingredients printed in Latin. It can be recycled into components. So it sells... Ooh. It's a brand new drug that has strong vasoconstruction properties. It's often prescribed to treat painful migraine attacks.
Its effectiveness has been proven by many. Even the flu is no match for the Swanborough cordial.
I'll break it down.
Gangs of bullies.
Oh, I'm sure. Ooh, 5 grease, 5 screws.
Its effectiveness has been proven by many.
Still hawking our wares, even though there's no one here. Oh, this place doesn't look seedy.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to.
1 sec. Ah, and the paranoia's setting in. She's got bronchitis.
A strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be for Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nethercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me just downwind.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
I was saying it's starting, the paranoia was starting again, but it's been pretty much going for, since I start recording.
Come on, Barrett, you know the game you play for peace of mind.
Can't you just look the other way this week, Joe? Come on, we can sort it out, right?
It's not my call, Barrett. You pay one way or another.
Please, Joe. How long have we known him? Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I am Dr. Reed. I would like to
Okay, I
ask you
seem
a
to have
few questions,
intervened,
if you don't mind.
in a
Doctor?
sense.
Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
Especially given that I just interrupted you being mugged.
Bye for
To pay mob dues. Mob dues.
Fancy buying something?
You never lose your...
Ah well.
How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
Uh-huh.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
What you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Reclaim it.
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
There's so many of those ghouls on the streets. I know, you'd swear more places would be overrun by them given how meat-hungry they are.
Have you heard of a nurse called Dorothy Crane?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? Always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
Yes, she's a nurse, and quite a good one. What did she do to gain such notoriety?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Goodbye, Fan.
Well, that explains why he dislikes her.
Fancy
You never... Right then.
Things are expensive.
fancy buying.
You never... Right.
Average resale value. Recycled components. Rusty box of pills. Actually, saying that reminds me of the Steve MRE. That time he it's chiseled off a ton of like aged meat. Like he got an old Boer War MRE. It's like over 100 years old, 118. Excuse me. It's had the bit of the leather binding on it had been pierced, so the one half of it was ruined, and the meat was usable, but only if you scraped it down a ton. It took ages of chiseling through it.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson to some, but Colossus Joe to most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
Yeah.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
Most people don't become thugs when unemployed. This is a choice you made.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out. Not for me.
This part of town...
Totally. Look at me, for instance.
Sorry, I didn't hear that last line.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine, and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
That I would.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
You okay, man?
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
Uh-huh. Great. A fate healer.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences, and most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
So, douse everything in kerosene and hope God decides to protect them from the encroaching flames. Alright then.
Purification by fire has proved useful, but where do you stop? Burn the clothes? The buildings? The corpses? Worse?
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool?
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Though he says that it's his job to convince rational minds. Wouldn't that imply that he's irrational?
What do you also
quite a
well, you
I am. But the answers I seek are based on facts, not superstition. Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I sent him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
I guess my rod and staff are gonna have to go comfort him.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in our country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
Communist resistance? Rather than resisting communism, she was a communist agent. Huh.
So you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work?
Angel on high.
But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Yeah.
I have heard an...
I'm cheap and I'm
There's so much talking in this game. Oh, it's not nearly as cool as I hoped.
I'll be gentle. Pay me a bottle and I'll be nasty. Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick. Though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed. Or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Uh-huh.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I always thought I was the master of my own fate. But now I know we don't always have control over our lives. I don't judge you.
You know, this money is not only for me. I have good reasons to need this money quickly. But it is not your concern, Doctor.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crane. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can.
is that floating? Huh. Don't think so.
It's locked, all right.
Unable to see the true horror around you.
Okay, I can't actually talk to you.
I should never have taken up my... Fancy bye.
You never... Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I'd known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
It's never easy to find a new path in life, especially after the loss of a loved one. But crime is certainly not the best option.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against a wet boot boy.
Goodbye for... Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
I can just press him.
All right. I shall leave you alone.
Peterson. Oh, it's you. It's your kid. No real reason to go pushing into there.
Good evening.
Change.
Do you need any assistance, Miss Popper?
It depends on
Posing on her is so funny.
I am shocked that you would think I am that sort of man.
Forgive my suspicion. I'm so used to liars with good men.
Oop, sorry.
Goodbye, miss.
Oh. This is grim. Dispensary Dottery. So many rings here. Large box of pills. Given that there's, you know, people dead downstairs and, you know, blood outside, I thought there was going to be a fight in here, not a hideout. The vampire concentrates shadows around their prey to make them explode after a countdown. Explosion will drown in range with needle-like living spears. Vampires often use this ability to wipe out groups of enemies from a distance. They think they can challenge us with their tools, but no one can defeat the shadows. The shadow explosion has increased range and damage. Or the shadows pull in a single place. All targets within this area are struck constantly by slithers of darkness, causing them to bleed. Blood directly from the wounds. Oh, misread that. Oh yeah, I forgot about taking over. Okay, what I did was enough to plateau it. Drop by 3%, went up by 3%. Ooh. Neuralgia. Don't know how to do that one yet. But I can make some for bronchitis. Literally just a glass vial. Okay. Okay. Ah, you can switch between them. Hmm. Actually. I wouldn't mind upgrading this, but I'm a little iffy on not having a offhand. Here, I'm gonna stop for a bit. Well, I'm gonna stop for today. I hope you've enjoyed. Till then.